today. This is David Lucas back here again. Welcome back to my channel.
Oh, is this the part where I talk?
Yeah.
What's going on, world of YouTube? I am Alec. You could pretty much call me the all-too-know-it-all guy for everything Godzilla and second closest fan behind David here to Star Wars anything. So
I'm the first.
You think so? Yeah. Anyway, so today David invited me over to his house because we've been talking a lot about The Last Jedi, Episode 8. Which we believe is one of the greatest Star Wars films ever. Oh boy, I can't wait for the negative comments.
I
cannot wait for the comments.
All the thumbs down. So, let's get on to The Last Jedi. Well, The Last Jedi, directed by Rian Johnson and written by Rian Johnson, is one of the Star Wars movies that have caused a lot of friction between the fans. And it's kind of one of those movies that when I first saw it, at least, I thought I was very confused by it. I had a little bit mixed emotions by it. I don't know how you felt when you first saw it. I don't think we ever discussed how we first, our first opinions on it.
Well, my first viewing of it, I should say my girlfriend is a big Star Wars fan too. However, she's more of the movie fan. She hasn't jumped into the lore, into the form of like comic books and the TV shows, the way that I have. So I saw it with her. And I loved it. Even like the first time that I saw it, I loved every action sequence. I loved every just everything. If you've paid attention to the prequels and the original trilogy, there's every aspect of it at some form in this movie, whether it be the storyline itself, character development, and as you and I pointed out when we were just watching it, in the form of musical score, filming, lighting, nuance, anything. This movie has it, and that's why I'm here to help him, because I feel like a lot of people have been jumping the gun in the sense of, oh, well, it's not following certain aspects of the original trilogy, which it's not what it's supposed to do at all.
Not supposed to. It's supposed to follow like aspects like poetry. It's supposed to have certain aspects that are rhyme and relates, but not altogether. Is not supposed to be a copycat of it. And yeah, when you go now, a lot of people, I know, the discourse for Force Awakens, which I love too. I love Force Awakens, that it is a copycat of New Hope, which in a way it kind of is. But you have to think with Force Awakens, it was just the start into the series. Just the first time after so many years coming back to Star Wars. And now we had that familiarity there. And now we got that familiarity with Force Awakens. So now let's go to The Last Jedi and have something new. Let's bring something new to the table. And when I first saw The Last Jedi, my first viewing of it, I remember I was kind of confused by it. At first I was a little like, whoa, this is different. This is something I did not expect to see from a Star Wars movie. I like what I'm seeing. First off, I love what they did with Luke. That is my
best character arc in the entire trilogy.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I'm going to get hate for this, and I don't care. I think Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi is the best performance that Mark Hamill has ever given as Luke. I'm being honest. That performance, dude, the way it's, I don't do it. It's just so good. And some people say, how Mark Hamill doesn't like how Luke was in there. That's, people only nitpick. They're only taking a little bit of quotes what he says, and they try to make it to their own liking, which is not true. He enjoyed the arc once he understood what this Luke went through. He actually liked what this Luke was like. And that was something right off the bat that I loved about it. But, there is some stuff in here that I was a little bit iffy about. And yeah, this isn't a perfect Star Wars movie.
No,
it's not a perfect.
We could go back into every Star Wars movie. Yeah, none of them are perfect
except for Empire. But
okay, yeah, Empire is different.
Yeah, but it's not perfect. Canto Bight. I think that's just a completely Harry Potter type thing. I feel like something out of a Harry Potter movie.
A lot of Harry Potter-esque feelings.
Yes.
And there is a downfall. And the naysayers of this movie, I will give them the idea and give them the benefit of the doubt and the argument that that because Disney took over the Star Wars franchise, they had to make it family oriented and Disney-esque. I say,
yeah, Disney-fied.
The Disney vibe.
Marvel MCU-ified it. Almost.
I mean, yes,
kind of. That's what the
episode
comedy
8
was like.
came out. It's been 3 or 5 years.
3
now.
years. 3 years.
3 years.
2018, I think it came
18
out.
it came out. Okay.
Yeah, 18. Yeah.
We're still within the first 3 years of its release. Within the next 7 years, a decade after, 10 years, people are going to really appreciate this movie more for what it is.
They will. Oh, definitely. And I even see now, like, sometimes like on Twitter and stuff, like a few days ago was the anniversary of this, the 3rd anniversary of The Last Jedi, and then so much people I seen were giving it praise, and they're like, hey,
now
you're starting to see, and now you start seeing after some people watch it a few times. But it's like, what made me really want to go and do, like, this video is that I hear constantly so much people, like, hate on his movie and hate on it, and I hear the same reasons why they hate on it. Oh, this is not the Luke Skywalker I want to see. Oh, they didn't follow any storylines that I thought they were going to follow in Force Awakens. It's like, you're not supposed to have pre-consistent thoughts. You're not supposed to think this is how... We're not the creators. We are the fans. We are the audience.
If the original Star Wars were following the pre-consisting notions that George Lucas had in mind, Vader would not be Luke's father. Leia and Luke would not be siblings. What else was jumped? It was added in at the last second.
A lot of
preconceived stuff that, would have changed the complexity of Star Wars. We probably would never even had Return of the Jedi.
Luke was supposed, because Luke actually originally, Leia wasn't going to be Leia. Like you said, Leia was going to be Luke's sister, and originally Luke was going to have an other sister who was way out in the Force that Yoda hid. And Yoda was secretly training, and that was a part of one of the original ideas too, and stuff like that. It's the same thing with the sequel trilogy. It's of course it wasn't all planned, and that is a big problem with it that it wasn't all planned. But at the same time, you can make a trilogy without having a plan, and George proves that. George proves that fully. He had no plan. He just went off the whim and changed it as they were going. And look at that, became one of the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest trilogy of all time. There's a certain aspect of fan service, but it's not just all about that. It's not all about, let's give the fans what they have. It's all about, let's give fans their theory stuff. It's about, let's create something that's mind-blowing. Let's create something that's gonna take this franchise into a different way. Let's take something and take filmmaking and storytelling into another direction. And that's what I think The Last Jedi tried to do. It tried to take this story, try to take the story of Skywalker and the Jedi, Sith rebellion and the Empire, because Force Awakens, even though I don't have a problem with it, kept it safe. So The Last Jedi was like, let's go do something else. Let's go hard with it.
And I've been talking with David a lot in our personal conversations and personal viewings that would probably be a little too illegal to view. To stream online.
Yeah.
So anyway, I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
This movie is a starter for the idea, in my opinion, of how the new way of the Force is supposed to be. And it's taken 20 years, as you and I just talked about. It's taken 20 years for people to actually understand the genius of the prequel trilogy now. Because the prequel trilogy emphasizes how either way, the Force, good, bad, Sith, Jedi, Republic, Empire, it's two sides of the same coin.
Just like what Mayfield says.
Yep.
And Randall,
And so when you have the premise and the prequels of, this is how the Jedi goes and this is how the Sith goes, and the genius of The Last Jedi comes down to the one scene, Luke in his original Jedi attire, coming to the tree, the temple, and he has the mentality to burn it down. And Yoda was smart enough to say, no, he's going to back out at the last second, so let me give you a hand.
Yep.
And the fact that they use you and I
they use
the original puppet, which
I love how good it looks too.
I don't know if
so good.
I don't know if anybody's is still, comments, ads, subscribe to my friend's channel here. Just was telling you that I went to the Detroit Institute of Arts, and they had a Star Wars exhibit, the art of design, and it had all the original Star Wars costumes and a history of what it takes to make these costumes, and they had droid suits, and I got to see Alec Guinness's Obi-Wan.
Oh, that's
still
awesome. Yeah,
still huge to me. Return of the Jedi's Luke. I saw the all black and the Thrall. One of the coolest exhibits. So if it's out there in the country, I recommend all Star Wars fans to see it. Sorry you couldn't see it, but Last Jedi is a great example of kickstarting this new way of the Force. So the new order of Jedi is not going to be anything like we've already been exposed to in the prequels. So who knows, maybe this Jedi Order will allow their members to have marriages and families outside. Maybe they'll allow these Jedi to not explore into the dark side, but have like the Luke on Dagobah, or what's the planet that that Luke is on?
Actu.
Yeah. And Rey on Actu. That scene where they go in and expose themselves to the dark side.
Yep. And that's what makes, I love that scene.
And the genius of the Star Wars movies is when you have a Jedi that exposes themselves to the dark side in a way that they're not captured by it. So they see it and experience it. That's what makes them a great Jedi, is the fact that they understand their enemy and that they understand how tempting the dark side can be. But as long as you can resist that temptation and know and understand what it is, you have a better sense of the Force.
Ahsoka.
Hence why Ahsoka and Qui-Gon Jinn are probably the most important characters in all of Star Wars.
Oh, they
hands
are.
Down.
Oh, yeah. That's something too. I love Ahsoka and Qui-Gon Jinn, but that's a story for another time. But no, that all leads into what you're saying with, and I know we're talking about Last Jedi, but goes back to the ending of The Rise of Skywalker, the end of this trilogy, when Rey, she lights up the yellow lightsaber.
Yes.
And right there it shows Rey, she's going a different direction. She's not... she has those Jedi texts that she grabbed from the temple, the ones she grabbed and kept. But like you said, because we were talking about this as we were watching Last Jedi, she has that to show what not to do in the past. She has that to show what not to do.
And there's an old saying, I can't tell if it's Confucius. I'm full of old sayings, but I have no idea who the fuck said them.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops, sorry, YouTube.
No. That's fine. I swear on here sometimes.
I'm going to keep swearing. If I'm going to be online, sorry, you're going to hear a lot of bombs.
Yeah.
So, there's an old saying, those who don't learn their history are doomed to repeat it. So, classic example of how Star Wars is doing that right now. Rey has the old text and will teach the old ways to the new generation, but then we'll also teach them the downfalls and the flaws and why this failed and why the Empire rose in the first place.
And not be so cookie cutter and be like, this is the truth. We as the Jedi, we failed sometimes.
When an all Grand Master like Yoda is willing to accept that he failed at some point in his life, that's what makes him the most powerful Jedi in the world. He had the strength. And he was very smart in the prequels. Like, don't get me wrong. He was still the best character out of all of them in the prequels. But it took all the way until Last Jedi for him to be happy. And like he was excited to burn down the temple.
Yeah,
that was the best part.
He was laughing.
Oh, Skywalker.
Miss you, I have.
Miss you, I have.
Yeah,
gotta love it, because he knew that what he was doing was keeping the Jedi alive.
Yeah.
For the future.
Exactly. And like what he says, that he brought the line back to Luke when he's like, never your mind's never here, right now, what you're doing. And stuff like that. He brings that line back.
You have to be in the moment.
Be in the moment.
Be in the moment.
Yes, and don't look onto the horizon. Don't dread onto the past. Don't hold on to that stuff. And it's funny because that is actually why I say that one of my other things where I kind of feel like it was an interesting take they took was not making Rey go with Kylo. I always thought that was really interesting because Kylo basically says the same quotes what Yoda says to Luke.
I really wish that was something they pulled the trigger on.
Yeah, it would have been something ballsy, I feel like. It would have been something like, whoa, like imagine if it ended like that. That would have been so interesting, which I am fine with what they went, with the direction they went with Rey, not joining Kylo.
That would have, that made you anticipate Episode 9.
Yeah, let's not talk about. Yeah, and that's kind of what, and that would have, in both ways, kind of make you anticipate it. Because imagine if it kind of all leans back to it, how because Kylo's telling Rey, forget the past, forget the Jedi, forget the Sith, forget the rebellion, forget the Empire. Let's move on. Let's do something else. Come with me. And that is exactly what Yoda was telling Luke, basically, in a Jedi way more. But he basically was telling Luke the same thing. And it brings back to the thing. It's like they're two sides of the same coin. They're all the same thing. It's all a machine. And that's why, again, why I really appreciate Benicio del Toro's character of DJ in this more. I admit, I did not like him at first. I thought he was kind of like a wasteful, like, this is a stupid character.
Yeah.
But now, watching The Mandalorian and seeing Mayfield's character of how he perceived into stuff, and yeah, we love The Mandalorian. We're big Mandalorian fans here.
The Mandalorian is the reason I am proud to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, it lines all of our love back for Star Wars, that's for sure. But why I really appreciate DJ's character more, because he does bring up the point how he kind of betrays them. You know, you think he's a dick for betraying them, but he's always like, hey, they blow up today, you blow them up tomorrow. This is just business here.
It's business.
Yeah, it's business, and that's how it all works, how the governance works. It's business. It's the same thing. They're both governments. They're both invading on people. They're both, you know, going against other people's point of views on shit. No matter what your point of view is, it all around is the same thing, and is one machine. And that's something that George Lucas himself tried to tell and try to show in the prequels and in the original saga, that it's the Jedi and Sith, they're not all good and bad. There's that gray area, and that's why I think he created Qui-Gon Jinn, was to show that gray area in the prequels, to show that there is another way. There is not just that. Because even if you go way back in George's old scripts.
Oh, we're going way back.
Yeah,
okay.
like before he even, like when Star Wars was all one script, when it wasn't, you know, episode and all that, it was just one script. The original Jedi in that script were called the Bendu. And the Bendu were the in-between, and they ended up bringing that back into Rebels, which is really cool. You haven't watched Rebels yet. But
I haven't gotten into Rebels yet. Can't spoil it. Still in
not
Clone
spoiling
Wars.
it. Yeah.
I'm still on Clone Wars.
Yeah, he's still a little behind, but no spoilers. Not really spoiled, but that Bendu concept comes back in the Rebels, and they're in the middle. They're in between. They just follow the Force. They follow what the Force says. You know, if the Force says this planet needs to blow up one day, then it's for the Force. That's what's going to happen. And that's kind of where Dave Filoni comes in, and he's been kind of putting that into his stuff with, like I said, Rebels, and now with The Mandalorian. And Rian Johnson did that with The Last Jedi. That's why it boggles my mind that I don't understand why people say that Rian Johnson doesn't understand Star Wars and that he doesn't understand anything.
You gotta lay out those negative comments, guys. Yeah. Watch. In 10, 15 years, those are the same people that are going to come back and appreciate this movie for what it is.
Exactly.
And we're just going to look at you and say, really?
Yeah, yep. Hey, I used to hate the prequels. I was a prequel hater for the longest time until recently, and now I'm watching the prequels, you know what? There's some good stuff in the prequel. There's actually some really good stuff in there, and I feel like that happens with time. I mean, back in the day, people hated Empire. If you go look at the reviews for Empire, people were like, what? Luke Skywalker is the son of Darth Vader. What is this? Makes no sense. Like, why is this? Why is this more a character-based story, not an action pick like how New Hope was? It's the same stuff repeating, just like what George Lucas says. History repeats itself. It all rhymes. And I'm telling you, like you said, people are going to end up loving this film, and I appreciate this film, I think, a lot more as time goes on. Hey guys, it's Dave from Recording. I just want to say that the video kind of went on a little too long, so I had to cut it in half, and so yeah, there's first part's gonna come right now first, and then we're gonna have the second part of it going on longer. We kind of rambled on really, really long with this video. Good second part, so stay tuned for part 2 coming soon.